Hello guys, welcome to episode 37. Now it is the mid-season break, so we're taking this time to have a look around the facilities, do a bit of driver scouting, have a look at all the different aspects of the team. Now we've got a break from every race weekend coming up thick and fast. And on the right hand side you can see the developments that we are making. We're refurbishing the boardroom because that keeps the board happy, although they are very, very happy at this moment in time. Anyway, the helipad, that needed refurbishing, so we thought, bugger it, we might as well be able to get a bigger helicopter on there. So we're upgrading that as well. Race simulator, very important for our guys in terms of their development, especially Felipe Drogovic. Hospitality area makes the team more attractive. We might need that if we're going to upgrade towards the end of the season in terms of drivers. And also the biggest one is the factory. We are upgrading the factory. This will mean that the project capacity goes from 4 to 5 and that the development speed improves as well. This is in tandem with the design centre that's just been completed, which now means we've got 3 project capacity and more engineers. We've now got 15 engineers that can work on projects at any one time. After the last race, Fernando Alonso wasn't very happy with us, and he has said that if things carry on like that and he has to start playing a bit part in terms of the championship concerning Pierre Gasly being the backup driver, being the number 2 driver, he didn't feel that it was given fair opportunity. Some of you who watched the last episode may be able to argue with that. If we have a look at the last race, in the Hungaro ring, it was very much a race in which Fernando Alonso's race was sabotaged to really benefit Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly finished a fantastic 5th position, but Fernando Alonso dropped out at the points. Very unhappy with that. Fernando may seek another team at the end of this season, so we've got to be on the lookout for replacements. So I'm going to get a few more upgrades done, and we'll see you for the race preparation very shortly. And here we are then, the Belgian Grand Prix here at Circuit de Spa. Now, this can be a very wet Grand Prix. We saw that a couple of years ago, only getting a couple of laps in behind the safety car. 1951st Grand Prix, a classic circuit, 44 laps. Charles Leclerc holds the lap record 2022 of a 1 minute 44.8. If we have a look at the car attributes, top speed and acceleration, we have just had an upgrade come in on the rear wing to help with that, so hopefully that's going to pay dividends for this race. An expected strategy is a one-stop from mediums onto hards. We went for the one-stop last time. Maybe didn't prove to be optimal in the end. We'll see. We'll assess it as it goes. But let's get to the race weekend. I'm going to get the practice done. We'll see you in qualifying.
Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome to Spa-Francorchamps. This circuit was built in 1921, and even though its length was halved in 1979, the Belgian Grand Prix is still one of the longest, fastest, and most magical races on the F1 calendar. Spa-Francorchamps is famous for its long straights and fast corners. Drag efficiency will make all the difference here as drivers zoom through the famous sequence of Eau Rouge leading up into Raidillon. But a twisty middle sector keeps things tricky down on the track. We're about halfway through the season now, and there's still plenty of time for everything to change. All eyes are on the teams and how they tackle the rest of the year. Okay then, let's get to it.
So final flying laps in Q2, Fernando Alonso down in the drop zone in P13 currently. It's not been a good weekend so far for Fernando. 2 green sectors though, first and second. Can Fernando Alonso improve here? He did get held up on his first run by Alexander Albon. Fernando Alonso comes across the line. Is it going to be enough? It replaces Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly is yellow through the second sector, through the bus stop chicane. Can Pierre Gasly once again out-qualify his teammate? And he's going to need to improve enough to get past Lando Norris. He isn't. And that has confirmed, there has been discussions in the briefings about taking some grid penalties this weekend, especially for Fernando. He does need a new engine. And this, with the rain, might not be a bad weekend to take it. So we'll have a little look at that. 11th and 12th for our guys. We'll see what we're going to have a look at with engine penalties, and we'll come back for the strategies. So guys, strategy-wise, now Fernando Alonso has took some new parts, so that may result in a grid penalty. It's not come up straight away. It's still saying he's starting P9. I'm wondering if that's going to update when we do get to the Grand Prix. But the medium compounded tyre, Pirelli say that it can do 37 laps. We're expecting the rain to come around, what, lap 22, 23? So I'm thinking if we get to that period, we should be sound on the medium compounded tyre. We did it in practice. There should be no issues. Then we just switch onto the inters or the wets, depending on what happens and what the weather radar's saying. Both guys got the fuel. We're all ready to go. Let's get to 5 red lights. This is going to be a spicy one.
Get ready, it's the Belgian Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
And away we go, and we did in fact take engine penalties, 16th and 17th for our guys. Straight away we're on board with Pierre Gasly. We need to be making moves on these guys straight away and getting up this grid. So there's a push, and there's already incident turn 1. And that looked like Gasly was involved. Now, did he get any damage from that? We'll just rewatch that straight away. Mick Schumacher in the Williams. What on earth is he doing? And Pierre Gasly did extremely well to avoid any sort of damage there. He's got to get past him. I mean, that's knackered us up straight away. We've lost 4 seconds to Nicholas Latifi, and he can't get him in a straight line. Unbelievable scenes. He's on the soft compounded tyre, Mick Schumacher, but I'd prefer to get past this Williams as quickly as we possibly can, because they have got a bit of a, they are a bit prone to spinning, as we've seen over the last couple of Grand Prix. So Pierre Gasly, job done there with the ERS. Lovely, lovely work from Pierre. Fantastic work by him. Fernando Alonso has got Alexander Albon and then 2 Williams to get past. So a difficult race for Fernando. I'm expecting he can get past both these guys. These guys that's on softs, we're hoping they're not going to get to the rain period. If they don't, we are going to gain some position. So it's been a while since we've been fighting back here. But at the front, we look at Max Verstappen leading away from Carlos Sainz, then comes Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez, Hamilton, Russell in the Mercedes P5 and 6, Ocon in 7th, Zhou and Stroll in 8th and 9th, and then Danny Ricciardo makes up the top 10 just in front of his teammate Lando Norris, lap 1. And just coming towards the end of lap 1, up towards the bus stop chicane, Lance Stroll in the Alpha Tauri, locking up, very fortunate not to take out one of his teammates. Safety car wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for our guys at the minute, who are still running, well, up a place each now, 13th and 17th for Pierre and Fernando, but Pierre Gasly is very much chasing after Nicholas Latifi in clean air, and hopefully, like I said, these soft compound runners are going to pit before the rain period. Lap 2. It is all happening here. Lap 2, Max Verstappen from the lead of the Grand Prix runs wide, clips the wall, and he's all the way back down with us now. I think Verstappen has rejoined just in front of Pierre Gasly, and Pierre Gasly's now got somebody to latch onto the back of, and if this Red Bull is not damaged, I don't know if he managed to avoid any damage there, hopefully he can pull us up to the front, guys, in Nicholas Latifi. Didn't think I'd be saying that sentence. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso has been told use a bit of ERS, catch up to Mick Schumacher, get up to this next DRS train, and we will work from there. Lap 2, with now Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, the 2 Ferraris lead here in Belgium. To say it's all happening, but it's now happened to one of our guys. Pierre Gasly just ran wide, then pulled back onto the racing line, and then really got involved with Fernando behind. Fernando's going to be fuming. He weren't happy after the last Grand Prix. He's certainly not going to be happy with how his teammate rejoined there. Alex Albon overtook, and now 14th and 15th for our guys. Hopefully we can just DRS join each other a little bit now. Fernando Alonso might be saying, I could do with getting in front of Pierre Gasly. We'll see how it plays out. There are no team orders at the moment at Aston Martin. Lap 3. You join us back on lap 9. Now what we did was we said to Fernando, right, Pierre has cost us a lot of time here. We're going to use all his battery to get us back in touch with these guys. And in fairness, he has. Fernando sat behind him, used the DRS, got dragged along. Pierre Gasly's now down to like 20% battery. But we are now up with these 2 guys, so we've got to get past these guys pretty quickly. But now the gloves are very much off. Pierre Gasly now can do what he wants. He's got to try and put somebody between himself and Fernando Alonso. And hopefully that moment can be here. Fernando Alonso's thinking, I'll have a little go at this. No problem at all. So it's all on whatever these guys want to do now. No team orders from me. I'm going to let them fight it out. There's been accusations of me preferring one driver than the other. That's been purely based on performance in terms of what Pierre Gasly's done for the team so far this season. But in this race in isolation, he's really cost Fernando and the team by that lockup that he had on around lap 3. So we'll keep sticking with this and seeing if we can improve. Meanwhile, at the front, it is the 2 Ferraris that are leading, but Sergio Perez is keeping them both honest. Hamilton in 4th. Esteban Ocon, he's having a belting race in P5. Then comes Russell, Norris, Zhou, Verstappen and Ricciardo. Verstappen will be sick about what he did early on. As we're on to lap 9 now, the soft runners onto around 68% tyre wear, which is not particularly good. Bottas, Vettel and Schumacher especially, they're never in a million years going to make it to the rain period. As we have a quick look at the track, we are still expecting rain a little earlier actually, around lap 20. So, we are still not out of this by any stretch. We could do it pushing back a little bit later, and these guys having to pit, but we'll see. We'll keep monitoring it as Pierre Gasly is really now going to start making some moves. Otherwise, I will be telling him to let Fernando pass lap 9. Lap 10, he obviously got the message on the team radio. Pierre Gasly, I didn't think you were going to manage it, but managed to get past Nicholas Latifi, and then put the Haas between himself and Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso will be getting him on the next DRS straight, I'm sure. And he can chase after the Alfa Romeo of Alexander Albon. And Pierre Gasly's side of the garage know just how important that overtake could be in terms of his race. We've also got to think there's going to be some double stacking in terms of when the rain hits. So, really, we need to be building a gap with Pierre, or Pierre needs to be building a gap. If he can overtake Alexander Albon and absolutely bolt, that would be ideal. But we'll keep an eye on how things progress. But lap 10, 13th and 15th respectively, it's a real battle for points this afternoon.
Let's take a look at
Pierre Gasly overtaking Alexander Albon, and as you can see behind, Fernando Alonso into the bus stop chicane made a great move round the outside of Nicholas Latifi. Straight away we set the ERS to deploy for Fernando to catch him up to these two, and Fernando Alonso is now chasing down Alexander Albon, and I'm hoping that Pierre is going to be able to hold him off here. It doesn't look like he is. Although that soft compounded tyre from Alexander Albon is starting to wear off a little bit. He's on 59%, so 10% less tyres than wear on. Pierre Gasly manages to hold his place, and then Fernando Alonso now up with Alexander Albon. Gap to Danny Ricciardo is 2.2 seconds to Pierre, and then he's on the back of the next. Well, he's on the back of Kevin Magnussen, then the leading train. So it's all to play for on lap 12 here at Spa. Big things happening on lap 13. Lewis Hamilton caught my eye, went into the pits onto the hard compounded tyre. Interesting strategy from the Mercedes guys. That means he's got an extra stop to do. He's still come out in front of our guys. Bottas, Vettel, they've dropped back a little bit as well, but it looks like the guys in front. Pierre Gasly's absolutely belting along, by the way. He's now only 1.3 seconds behind Danny Ricciardo, and Lewis Hamilton's holding these guys up. This is the chance now for Pierre Gasly to get in this DRS. Who knows what could happen here. Fernando Alonso now stuck behind Alexander Albon. He's going to be making moves very shortly, but if these soft tyres are going to start to pit Magnussen, Ricciardo, Albon, that gets them out of the way for us. If the medium runners pit before the rain, this could be a bonkers Grand Prix. If we just have a look at the track, we are still looking at this every couple of minutes, seeing where it's going. We reckon, is it going to be wet? We got this wrong last time. We don't want to get it wrong this time, as it could be key to scoring very good points here this weekend. Lap 13, 12th and 14th for Fernando and Pierre. Lap 14, Pierre Gasly up to P10, Ricciardo and Magnussen both boxed, which then Pierre went through. He's now only 2 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, and if we get the pit stops right, who knows what we could do here. Fernando Alonso, though, is eyeing up a move on Alexander Albon. I would suggest that Alexander Albon is going to be in at the end of this next lap, so we're going to ride on board with Fernando as he uses the ERS and the DRS when it finally comes open, which he has now, to get past Alexander Albon. Move to the right hand side, he does. Alexander Albon has a little bit of a jink there, a little bit naughty. Fernando Alonso up the inside, beautifully done, and he's got the move done as he goes into the right-hander. Fernando Alonso up to P11, Gasly P10, all to play for. Lap 14. Lap 16, no team orders. Fernando Alonso making the overtake on Pierre Gasly, saying to the pit wall, look, you've given Pierre preference this season, but I tell you what, I'm still the better driver. Fernando Alonso is past him. We're 3.8 seconds away from Hamilton, and now Pierre will be told, do not fight your teammate. Do not fight your teammate. How the times have changed. Meanwhile, at the front, we'll have a little check-in on Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, both leading in the Ferraris. We've got Sergio Perez in fourth, Esteban Ocon in fourth. What a race Esteban Ocon is having here. And then towards the bike, we'll have a look at the bike. Stroll, Tsunoda and Schumacher. There is rumours of a different-looking Williams car next season. There's also rumours of an Aston Martin redesign, a Vantage livery coming in, and a bit of an upgrade to the team as well. What that'll mean for drivers and me personally, we will have to see. But just a couple of little rumours there to keep your appetite whetted a little bit. But lap 17, looking pretty decent. Fernando into the points. Lap 17, and Lando Norris, who was battling with the Mercedes, ran wide, rejoined, and hopefully you're going to see coming around the corner the two Aston Martins. And that's pulled Lando Norris right back into our clutches, and straight away Fernando is thinking, I'll have a little look at this. I'll have a look at this. Lando Norris, that's going to have knackered his tyres up a lot. No, in fact, it hasn't. Lando Norris' tyres are better than ours. Fernando Alonso's thinking, let's have a little go at him. He's gone to the inside. He's got the DRS. Is Fernando going to manage to get the move done? We're going to ride on board with Fernando using all that DRS down this long straight into the right-hander. Beautiful work from Fernando. And Lando Norris, it doesn't end there for Lando because Pierre Gasly's thinking, anything Fernando can do, I'm sure I can do too. Lap 18 even. Very interesting so far. We've just seen that live, and I'm sure it won't be long until Pierre Gasly is backing into him as well. Lap 19, we have just had the notification that wet weather is coming. We're going to keep his eyes on this for the next 30 seconds to see what happens down this long straight here. I'm looking at Pierre Gasly thinking, can you? Could you make a move here? Could you get past Lando Norris? It might not be the worst thing in the world if he doesn't. The optimal pit stop lap for the mediums is actually now. But obviously, we know the rain's coming. It makes sense for us to stay out a couple of laps and go from there. It looks like we're going to be running in formation with these guys. But let's have a look at the track map. We are expecting moderate rain, then light rain. That would suggest to me intermediate tyres. What we got? Damp. Yeah, I would suggest we want to be going on to intermediates. That seems a faster tyre for me. Moderate rain, they reckon, and it's going to be wet initially. Once we get through that wet period, we should be onto damp, which suits us a little bit better. So we're going to go straight onto the intermediate tyres with both cars when the time comes. Get this call right, could be a very good Grand Prix for us. Lap 19. Right, it started raining. The guys at the back have got a huge bonus on us here. Because they were that far back, they've managed to get in when the track was basically just right for inters. We just missed the... it were only about 0.2 when we went past the pit lane. So both our guys now going very slowly. Stroll, Tsunoda and Schumacher. This might pay absolute dividends for them. But the key is this rain, it's going to be interesting to see what everybody goes on to, because it is saying it's going to be wet. No, it's just gone to damps now. So it's going to be onto the intermediates. It's pretty much going to be as you were. Pierre Gasly, he's going to be the one that's going to really lose out here. There's been a car spin. Safety car might not be the worst thing in the world. Let's keep an eye on who's spun. I'm hoping we're going to get a replay.
Yellow flag.
It is Sebastian Vettel that has spun.
Taking a look again.
Sebastian Vettel on the hard compound tyre. I mean, yeah. Not ideal for Sebastian at all. Hopefully both our guys are going to manage to get to the pit lane. Sainz is in, Ocon's in. Sergio Perez and Leclerc have stayed out. That's an unbelievable decision. As is George Russell. Joe's coming in. Alonso's in, obviously. Norris has stayed out. Gasly's in. So, a few guys staying out. Sainz are straight onto wets. We've decided track condition, it's going to be damp. Interesting decision here. We've gone on to intermediates. Everybody else seems to be going on to wets. Let's see whether that was the right call, especially a little bit later on. We are expecting some light rain again. But hopefully, we've made the right call. Both our guys onto intermediates. It is going to drop down a little bit towards the end. We may have got this wrong. There's only us that's on intermediate tyres. Although it just seems to have calmed down a little bit. So let's just see how this plays out for us. The guys on the mediums, they've absolutely buggered it. That must be said. But it is only just over intermediate, so I'm not too concerned about that. We'll come back when Russell, Perez and Leclerc come in for their pit stops. Lap 22. You join us as Pierre Gasly is just not getting past him. You've got to get past him, Pierre. And this is why Fernando's got through. Fernando's got through. We're getting held up behind Lando Norris. This is the most frustrating thing. We've told him to drive in clean air for most of the lap, and he finally gets past him. Absolutely brilliant, Pierre. I've not had many bad words to say about you so far this season, but that was atrocious driving. Lando Norris is staying out again. George Russell's just come out of the pit lane, so Fernando Alonso has gained, and the track is drying. The intermediates, Perez and Verstappen, who dropped a little bit less, who pit a little bit later, have both gone on to the intermediate. So there's only us, Ricciardo, and the two Red Bulls that are on the intermediate, which is now the optimal tyre. It must be said. It's going to be interesting to see now what sort of lap times we can pump in, especially against these wet tyre runners. And we're looking at the 2 Mercedes. That is the target so far. We have got soft compound tyres to go on to at the end as well. So 9th and 10th for Pierre and Fernando, both now in the points. Guan Yu Zhou on the wet compound. Fernando Alonso looking very, very quick. Lap 25, it is getting wetter and wetter. We're looking at the gap now to Lance Stroll in P11. It's 20 seconds. Fernando Alonso's lost about 4 seconds in the last 3 or 4 laps. I'm looking at the Red Bulls and what they're doing. We're having a quick glance down the pit lane to see what they're thinking. Is it worth going on to wets? I don't think so. I think it's currently wet. It's going to be damp in 3 minutes. Then it's going to be it's going to switch between the two. So I don't think it makes sense for us to come in at all. Hopefully it'll start drying up a little bit. But it's all going to be key towards the end. We could do a nice gap between Fernando and Pierre. And at the moment, that's 6 seconds. That would be ideal to get us both onto fresh soft compounded tyre. But if we just have a look at his pit options, we've both got a fresh set of soft compound tyres towards the end. We'll keep seeing how it plays out. But that gap, look at that, 18 seconds just in the time on this highlight. Lap 26. Lap 28. Both Red Bull cars came in for the wet compounded tyre. We're deciding to be stubborn and stick with it. As you can see on the right hand side, track now damp. Bit of rain coming in a little while. So I think it's just going to keep tossing and turning between the two. Sort of 3 minutes damp, 3 minutes wet. We're going to keep at it. Fernando's now got the hammer down, and hopefully Pierre Gasly's going to be doing the same. That gap to Stroll now increasing rather than decreasing. It's a very tight race. It's a very tight call all around. Guan Yu Zhou's now holding up these 2 Red Bulls. The Red Bulls have got it wrong in terms of their strategy. I'd have probably stuck at it, which is what we are doing. But Fernando Alonso now trying to get the hammer down and get towards this front lot. What would be ideal is a safety car. If we could get a safety car, that would be fantastic for us. Looks like we've just had somebody running wide in sector 3. Kevin Magnussen, who seems to be quite prone to doing these sort of things. He's done it into turn 1 and just ran a bit wide and gone off. Not the worst crash we've seen today, but still, there we go. That's not good for K-Mag, and he's now down in P17. The Williams just can't make their mind up what they're doing. Lap 29. Lap 33. There's a reason I'm not a weatherman, because Lance Stroll? I think it's Lance Stroll who's just overtaken Pierre Gasly. Not ideal at all. Yeah, quite disappointing. Now Pierre Gasly's in a position where he probably needs to be holding people back. He's used all his fuel as well. Hopefully this rain is going to dry up a little bit. We are at the point now where it should start to be dipping in a little while. We need quite a long crossover period. That would be ideal for us. So Pierre now it's damage limitation. Fernando Alonso, we're a pit stop bike. 9th and 10th is literally the best we can do today. Lap 33. Lap 35, the front guys are now coming in for Inter. So what we have lost in terms of staying on these intermediates, we are now gaining. We are deploying the RS. We're going aggressive on the tyres. And I'm hoping that this rain now is going to give up a little bit, although it's just starting to rain a little bit more heavy. We can see that starting to flick up and down a little bit. But most of the guys in front now are coming in. This could bring us right back into play, you know. Right back into play. Fernando Alonso is now catching Lance Stroll at a rate of knots. Pierre Gasly doing the same with Alexander Albon. It's not over yet by any stretch of the imagination. These guys obviously got a massive gap towards Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso, who's now right on the back of him. And it's now gone back to wets. Now that's going to be more of an equaliser. There's going to be a couple of racing laps, I think, towards the end, where it's going to be interesting to see if everybody stops again. Would I be half tempted to take a gamble? We're too far back to really affect it. Lance Stroll's really where we need to be. And Pierre Gasly, can he get P10? Lance Stroll's in. Lance Stroll is in. Now, what's Lance Stroll going on to? Bearing in mind, track conditions are wet. Alexander Albon's in as well. What are these guys going on to? They're going on to intermediate compounded tyres. So Stroll drops down, as does Albon. And that means our guys now, basically, a pit stop in front, which is beautiful work. Obviously, we're not going to catch the front guys, but weird pit stops are. Weird pit stops to come in when it's wet onto the intermediates. Their weather forecast, we know it's going to start drying, but maybe a few laps too early. Lap 35. Lap 39, Fernando just had a little bit of a whoopsie, but didn't cause too much damage to the car, which is ideal. Still running P9 and 10, nothing too much more to report. There's a decent gap between us and Lance Stroll. Like I said, towards the end, it is dry now, the track. Is it going to get to dries? We'll have to see. P9 and 10 after engine penalties, double points. Wouldn't be the worst. Wouldn't be the worst. We're just going to change our guys both to standard now.
Yeah, take it easy.
And go from there. I'm hoping that 10-second gap to Lance Stroll should be enough either way to get us to the end. Lap 39. Lap 41, we're letting Fernando and Pierre race, and Fernando's ran wide and held up Pierre Gasly. So they've done it to each other in this race, and then we've said to Fernando, get out of the way now, let Pierre pass, as we did the other way around. So there's no favouritism here. We did that the other way around. Makes sense for us to do that. The track is drying at a rate of knots, but I don't think we're going to get to dry compound running. Lap 41. And Carlos Sainz has had a fantastic afternoon here in Belgium. Beautiful drive from Carlos Sainz. Had to battle all the elements, got the strategy calls right. Fair play to him. Crosses the line and wins. Our guys both basically running round in formation. We can see Carlos Sainz winning there, having a little bit of a celebration as he drives round. But our guys now both just driving round. They were let to battle. I made sure that Pierre were let pass, but then said to him, look, go battle. And Fernando Alonso, I think that just took a little bit out of his tyres, maybe a little bit out of his confidence as well. And Fernando Alonso, he's going to finish P10. Pierre Gasly's going to finish P9. In the debrief, do we accept that we got the strategy call wrong? Yes. Going on to the wet was the optimal. We didn't do that. We went to the intermediates. Red Bull followed suit, but that didn't work for them either. As we can see, Max Verstappen actually recovered well to finish within half a second of Lewis Hamilton. But yeah, can't be too disappointed as we watch both our guys just coming around the final few corners. But it's another race in which we picked up double points. We are going to lose ground to Mercedes. We've took some engine penalties as well, so we've got them out of the system towards the second half of the season. I'm not overly disappointed. Gasly's quite happy with that. Both drivers made mistakes. It was a tough afternoon here at Spa. And if we get to the classifieds now, as we can see, Carlos Sainz wins from Charles Leclerc. Esteban Ocon, fantastic drive in the Alpine, up to P3. Lewis Hamilton P4, Verstappen 5th, Russell 6th. Perez, Zhou, Gasly and Alonso conclude the top 10. Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda, surprise in the Williams, finishing last. Drivers' Championship-wise, Pierre Gasly drops a position to Lewis Hamilton, and he's now 3 points behind the British driver. Fernando Alonso in P8. He's 27 points off of George Russell in the other Mercedes. So it's a checkerboard of Mercedes and Aston Martin. Max Verstappen is now leading the Drivers' Championship, or still leading the Drivers' Championship. Carlos Sainz second and Charles Leclerc in third. And constructors-wise, Ferrari extend their lead at the top of the constructors' standings from Red Bull, Mercedes, and then old Aston Martin in P4. We look like we've got P4 pretty much wrapped up, but what a performance that was from the Alpine team. Thank you so much for watching that. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we shall see you on the next one. Ta-ra.